Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking and watching. Today is a sad one. Today we are talking about the final episode of Insecure, Season 5, Episode 10, Everything's Gonna Be Okay. Oh my goodness. This episode, I think, took everybody on a roller coaster of emotions. It was exactly what we needed, exactly what we wanted. At least for me, I got everything I wanted out of this episode. I cried, I laughed, I gasped, I had to pause the TV. I did so much, and so this was a wild one. So let's get right into the last episode of Insecure. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. Let's just start from obviously how the last episode, episode 9, ended off. We saw that Lawrence and Nathan got into a pretty big fight. Nathan was ready to fight, Lawrence was ready to fight, and Issa was just like, this is way too much for me. Drama was caused. It was a lot. It was a lot. So we pick back up when Issa is in the car with Nathan. He's giving her a drive home, and he basically ends up with her. He says that this was messy, this was dramatic, and that's not me. Like, he's like, basically he didn't recognize himself, and he's like, I don't want to be that messy. I don't want to be in drama. I don't want that. So I'm going to take a step back. You see Issa kind of just processing all of that information, and she just says okay. She says okay. You could tell she's hurt. She walks into her home and she just spends the whole night in her makeup, in her dress, on the couch crying. And you know it's bad when you can't even take off your makeup. You know you're hurting. So Issa, I think it was just like she can't even still believe what even happened that same night, like with Lawrence and them and Nathan getting into the fight. Lawrence saying that he loved her, like that was a lot, right? That was a whole bunch. And then we see that Lawrence actually sends Issa a message and just apologizes for the drama that, he caused, for any issues. He apologized, but Issa doesn't even have the energy to message back. She just can't believe what's happening. And then so Molly comes over the next morning with food, and she's just there to support her friend. And again, I'm going to say it, I love this friendship this season. Like, this is just like friendship goals. They always say couple goals and you don't even know what's happening behind closed doors, but you could definitely watch this and say friendship goals. I love their friendship this season, and she's just there to just be by her friend's side and support any way she can, which is just, it's not really so much, but you just be there, right? So Molly definitely shows up, and I love that. And so, okay, so obviously everybody noticed that this episode, the last episode, the final episode, jumps from birthday to birthday. So you get like kind of little snippets of their life in that moment. And I think they just were genius about this, because you want to see what's happening, but you also want to feel like a nice sense of closure at the end. And I believe we got that because they jumped around. They just spent a moment first celebrating Molly's 32nd birthday. We see that, we knew it was coming up, but we see that, what's his name? Torian. We see that Torian was there. We see that her parents were there. We see that Issa was there, and they planned like a lovely birthday party for her celebrating, and she loved it. She was a bit nervous because Torian was there, and I guess his parents were there. I think she said something about, last time I met my boyfriend's parents, things or family didn't go so well, so maybe a member of his family was there, whatever. And it obviously went well. So their relationship is going well. We can see it. We can feel it. Kelly's there. I think Kelly brings a man. Yeah, I think Kelly brings Kelly brings a man. He looks sweet. They're doing well. Tiffany comes. It's just like a really lovely birthday. And then we jump again and we see that something's happening with Crenshaw. So we're like, okay, I guess she chose to move forward with Crenshaw and not NWB or whatever. So she moves forward with Crenshaw, and she's surprised with her birthday. I believe they're the same age, so let's just say it's her 32nd birthday, whatever. And it's just a beautiful celebration for Issa. Love it. It's just so good, full of good vibes. Also now, so we know that Issa and Nathan are not together. Issa's looking to hook up with, a nice birthday guy, some birthday treats, a birthday cake, if I may say. And she's kind of looking around, being her usual awkward self. She's like, watch me work. And then they're just like, okay. And then she spills wine on the guy. So, but she's trying to move on from Nathan. It doesn't seem like she's spoken to Lawrence yet at that point. And then Nathan comes and just shows support, and he donates to the block, and he just gives a little something, and he says he's doing well, and he says that he's feeling better with LA, so we know things are happening with him. He's feeling good, and they're not together, but they're not on like super bad terms. They're just like, they have love for each other. So I love how they wrap that up. I personally knew, I felt it in my gut, that Nathan and Issa were not meant to be. It just wasn't meant to be. They have and had a lot of love for each other, but that it wasn't Nathan. It wasn't Nathan, and I'm glad that they didn't end up moving in together, but they shared like really special times with each other. And Issa even said herself, she's just like, I just feel like, your people are put in your life for a reason, for a season. Like if somebody's in your life, it doesn't mean like they're meant to be there for your whole entire life. They could be there to teach you something, to make you feel something. So I really like that Nathan did that for her, and she also did that for Nathan. But now we know Nathan, we feel good leaving off with Nathan, that he's doing well, he's good with his barbershop, and he's feeling better. So now we jump again to Tiffany's birthday. They visit Tiffany in Denver. Tiffany is struggling. She's struggling hard. She's just like not really enjoying herself. She's also just, anytime you move to a different city, country, do anything outside of your comfort zone. Anytime you change, there's definitely the growing pains, right? So Tiffany's experiencing that. She doesn't have a group of friends yet. She doesn't have a job yet, and she just feels like, why am I here? So Tiffany's struggling, and then inside, Molly and Issa chat. They're just talking, and I'm obsessed with their friendship, but they're just talking, they're having a good time. And then Issa sees a picture with all the dads holding their babies, and obviously she sees that Lawrence is there holding his baby, Elijah. So that was obviously tough. That's like taking a punch, to the stomach a little bit, and Molly takes in what she saw. So Molly's just like giving Issa some advice, solid, sound advice, like usual, and she's just saying like, have you ever thought to no, what did she say? She said the best line of the whole episode. She said what we were all thinking. What have you thought about what you would have said to Lawrence if Nathan didn't interrupt the conversation? And Issa's just like, no, I haven't really, because wouldn't that be messy? Wouldn't that be kind of showing that like I'm all over the place? And Molly's just like, not really, like I don't think so, like just think about it. That has come to pass, that has come to an end, your situation with Nathan, and so kind of feel and kind of try to think about really what you want, with Lawrence, if you see anything. And then obviously after that, we get the sad news that Molly's mom does pass away. And so that's just, that's pretty devastating, obviously, because you knew she had health issues. And when you lose a parent, that is tough. And you just feel for Molly, you feel for her family, and it's going to be a struggle to kind of come back from that. I also forgot to mention that I think it was during Issa's birthday that we get the information that Kelly may enter into a new role at Molly's firm as like an estate planner. And I thought this was so cool, because I just love how they're wrapping up each character. We want to see an ending for Kelly, even though she's not one of the main characters. We want to see an ending for all four of the main characters, like, the four friends. And I just love that. And also, one of the lovely women that watch these reviews, she actually said she thinks that Molly and Kelly are going to go off and start their own thing, and she wasn't far off. Kelly definitely comes in and works for the firm as the estate planner, which is so important again. And I think all of you guys should think about that for yourselves, like thinking about a will, life insurance, all those things. And you should think about if your parents have them too, ask those questions. So okay, and now it fast forwards again. So you know this is obviously over the time of a year, like a year time frame, and it's Lawrence's birthday now. And Lawrence and Condola are obviously co-parenting well. He's on the phone with his mom saying that he just got back from dinner with Condola and the baby Elijah. And yeah, she took him out for dinner. And so, yeah, so he's back. And Issa calls. Issa calls and he's like, Mom, I gotta go. So Issa calls and I'm just kind of chatting, just like, you know, Issa. It's always like, and that's what I do too. I feel like when you're kind of talking and things are awkward, you just like think you're just gonna talk to fill the sound, fill the like, not the sound, but fill the silence actually. Fill the silence with just randomness, and then kind of breaks the tension a little bit because obviously they haven't spoken. It's a bit awkward, and she's reaching out and she's just like, oh, I didn't think you're gonna answer on your birthday. And he's like, you didn't think I was gonna answer my phone? Like, yeah, so that is good. And she says like, how about I take you out for your birthday? Like, what are you doing tonight? And then he's like, I actually have plans tonight. Obviously she understands. She's like, oh, what was I thinking? Obviously you're gonna have plans. And a new girl comes and meets Lawrence at his apartment, and they share a kiss. So you're just like, okay, so I guess he's dating somebody. Obviously he shared his feelings for Issa. He waited, nothing happened. It's been obviously a few months, so we don't even know how long at this point. And he's moved on. He has a new girl, but you can obviously tell he still is like his mind's on Issa, his heart's with Issa, but you can't just stop your life forever. So that's what happens for Lawrence's birthday. And then we jump again and we jump to Kelly's birthday. So it's Kelly's birthday. She's there at dinner. Issa's there. Tiffany and Derek are there, and I felt a little something in that scene, that they seemed a little bit like Derek seemed like whatever. But yeah, and then Kelly's with the same guy. So that was incredible to see. I even wrote that down. I'm like, oh, Kelly's with the same guy. So their relationship's going incredible. And then you also find out that Kelly is pregnant. So it's just, Kelly's life is just coming so lovely together. Also, I feel like sometimes in these shows, they don't wrap up the kind of supporting characters as much. Like Kelly or Tiffany wouldn't get wrapped up as much. But I think they knew how much we loved Kelly. Like everybody loves Kelly and wanted to see a real ending to her story too. So she says like she loves this man and she didn't picture a life like this. But then when she met him, she pictured the lifelong relationship, the marriage, the kids. So now she's pregnant. And I love it. I think Issa looks like she's also feeling a little bit left behind almost, because her friends are having kids. Molly's not there in this scene, but her friends are having kids. Her friends are in healthy relationships. And I think she's thinking about Lawrence. She's thinking like, who would I want to have kids with? Who would I want to live the rest, live my life with? So I think that's what she's thinking. Okay, but Issa does have a cutie on her arm in this episode. The man looks good. And then they go back to her place. Lawrence calls. So they literally keep missing each other. Lawrence calls, and then she's having that moment in the mirror, and it's just like, do not answer that. Her reflection is just like, do not answer that. Do not answer that. Don't be a dumb bitch. Do not answer that. Go and get that beautiful man in your bed, laying down there, trying to please you. So she doesn't answer the phone for Lawrence, and obviously you just know, like, you just have to be at the right time. Timing is so important when it comes to relationships. Like, even though you guys gel and there's love there, like, it needs to be the right time. So that's what's happening with them. Okay, so then we fast forward again, and it's 1 year later, and it's Molly's birthday. So I guess it just skips a year. So yeah, it just skips a year. I don't really know, because wouldn't it already be Molly's birthday kind of coming up again? But it says 1 year later. So she turned 32, so now I'm thinking maybe she's 34 at this point, right? It's her 34th birthday. And yeah, she said obviously it was a really tough year for her, the passing of her mother. And oh no, okay, so now she's 33, because she does say that last year she was celebrating with her. So now she's 33, but it's only because they said a year later. Because if they just said Molly's birthday, then I would know it was the next year, because obviously it's her birthday again. But they said a year later, so it made me think, like, did we just skip a year? But anyways, that's not important. But yeah, so it was obviously a hard year for her, but she is still with Torian, which is lovely. And he's obviously been there supporting, loving, caring, all those good stuff. And yeah, their relationship seems healthy. We also see snippets into Issa's career. It's doing well. She seems to have some merch, like she has the block merch, and she's thriving. She's in like business suits. It's just beautiful to see. It's just like, ooh, it gives you chills, because you've again, we've seen the journey from when she was at We Got Y'all, when she was doing the lift, when she was being the superintendent, or for the apartment building. And so you know that nothing happens overnight. And just like how Issa in real life, she made this whole career, and it obviously didn't happen overnight, and things take time, but you just have to push and believe in what you want, and it's gonna happen. That shit is gonna happen. So yeah, so she's still with Torian. Issa's career is doing well. And then we also see that Kelly does work at the firm. She's there, and that's amazing, because we just feel so good with Kelly. We know she's pregnant. We know she's working at the firm. We know she has the man. And yeah, so things are going great. And then we see that Lawrence shows up. So Issa is in her new office space, and Lawrence shows up to the office space, and we're just like, I'm sorry, what? We say, I'm sorry, what? So it obviously took a year for them to actually speak properly. And so he comes, he checks out her space, and they're obviously speaking to one another in like code almost. Like she's speaking about the block, she's speaking about everything, but she's also and mostly speaking about Lawrence. And so I wrote down a few things she said. She says, it took a long time to get here. No one was doubting me except me. So she just knew, like, it took a long time to get to this point in her career, but also with Lawrence, and no one was doubting it except for her. Like, people knew it was Lawrence, he knew it was him, and now she knows it's him. And what else did she say? She said, I had to believe it to work for it to actually work. And again, that goes with anything in life. You have to believe, you have to have that assurance in yourself, that confidence in yourself, that you know that it's going to work for it to actually work. If you're doubting yourself, if you have no confidence, then you're gonna just always second guess yourself, and nothing's gonna happen. So, and then he's just like, you want this to work? And she said yes, and then they share a kiss, and everything's just like, because we knew it was Lawrence. I knew at least it was Lawrence. I'm happy it's Lawrence. They broke up at the end of season 1? Season 2. So it was many years for them to explore, for them to have their own lives, for them to set up their own lives. Like Lawrence at that time, when they broke up, he had no job. He had no idea what he wanted to do. And now look at him, he's thriving. Issa was unhappy in her job. She's thriving. She wasn't a good friend. He wasn't a good partner. She obviously cheated. So just seeing how now they're still them, but in like better versions of themselves. So they're ready to choose each other again and to give this a real shot. So I couldn't be happier with that. And then we also see, okay, so then it says, no, so this is the time when it actually said on screen, it said 1 year later, and it's Molly's wedding. So it wasn't, yeah, I was messed up, but it said 1 year later, and it's Molly's wedding. Molly looks gorgeous, by the way, like in that wedding dress. Oh my goodness, she just looks fantastic. She is a beautiful woman, and at this point I cried. I think it was just too many emotions. I also didn't know who was getting married, you know, because it just said 1 year later. So you're like, wait a second, who is getting married? And then I saw it's Molly. I just started crying. It was also because, you know, it's the last episode. You knew at this point the episode was coming to an end, and it was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So she looked beautiful. She had a piece, like a part dedicated to her mom, just celebrating her mom's life at her wedding, because obviously that's really tough for your mom not to be there for such a huge moment in your life. But at least she got to meet Torian, and so that's really amazing. She got to meet him at least. So yeah, Molly just looks incredible. And then you also get to see, because you see the bridesmaids, and I also love the red dresses for the bridesmaids. They just looked great. But we see that Tiffany's pregnant. So obviously things hopefully are going well for her. That's all we see with Tiffany. But we do see that she's going to be having a second baby, and we don't know if she ended up moving back to LA or if she is still in Denver. In my head, I think she's still in Denver, and she just comes back and they go and visit her. But she's obviously, well, hopefully settling in there, meeting friends, and starting her new life in Denver. So that's exciting. And then we see that just incredible moment between Issa and Molly. Issa's helping Molly out of her wedding dress, and that moment, you knew that that was real. Those emotions were real, because that was, I think, the last scene that they actually had together in the same frame. And so they were just crying, and Molly was saying like, thank you. And Issa thought she was just saying thanks for helping her out of the dress. But Molly was just like, no, thank you for everything. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being you. And that is so nice, and I think everybody needs to hear that every once in a while. Just like, thank you. Thank you for being a friend to me. Thank you for being someone I can count on. And then Issa was saying, like, you know, she felt the same way, like, thank you. And they were both, like, crying. And you just knew those were real, real, real tears. And so I think I cried again at that point, too. I think I just cried because I'm like, no. And at this point, you just knew there was, like, 5 minutes left or something. And you just like, oh, my gosh. But again, Molly found her man, and that's so lovely. Torian seems like a lovely man. The wedding was beautiful, and I love that they went to a destination. They said, yes, let's do this big. Let's do this last episode beautifully. So they did that, and then it goes to Issa's birthday. So it's 1 year later, so now it's Issa's birthday, and Issa's walking out in a power suit from a meeting or something. She's walking out in a red power suit, and that's how Molly was looking all the time in the first few seasons. And Issa, most of the time, who knows what she is wearing, you know? Molly's always been the best dressed also. But then we see that she's in this red power suit. She drives home. She's driving through LA, and she's looking around. She sees the place that her and Lawrence had together, that first place. She sees We Got Y'all. You know, she just looks, and she's just seeing, and she's taking us through the first few seasons and her journey and where she started and where she is now. Woo! Oh my gosh! And then she arrives to this beautiful home. Why is the home so beautiful? Why is the home so beautiful? So she arrives, and Lawrence is obviously there. And also Lawrence was at the wedding, because when she was sitting by herself at Molly's wedding, I was just like, where's Lawrence? Where's Lawrence? Where's Lawrence? But then Lawrence showed up. But so I was just like, didn't know if she was still with him or something happened. But she's still with Lawrence at the wedding. And then, she drives home. Obviously, they have a beautiful home together. And then there's a baby. And for a second, I was just like, oh my gosh, they had a baby. They had a baby. But then you realize, no, it's Lawrence's baby. It's little boy Ja, and he's there, the cutest little, sweetest little boy. And she's opened her heart and opened her arms to this little boy. And obviously the co-parenting has to be going well for Condola to, you know, be okay with this. And yeah, everything's going well. They're in this beautiful home. The little boy made a cake for her, and it's just like a lovely moment. Everything worked out, and I think that's what we needed. We needed a happy ending. We needed one of those like Disney movie, like, you know, like happy endings, and they wrapped everything up. Like, and I think that's what she wanted, because then people would keep asking for, could you do a reboot? Could you do a movie? And she didn't ever want to do anything like that. So she knew she had to wrap it up so perfectly. So then you don't really need anything more from them. You know, like I felt closure, and I felt like I know everything. I don't really need a movie, even though it was so, I actually, I'm not even joking, I felt like after the show ended, I needed to spend some time on my own. Like I went and took a long shower, because there was just so many emotions running through my body, because this show, like I'm sure all of you guys feel, was just so important. It was just so important to me to just see two Black women, specifically dark-skinned Black women, at the forefront of this TV show, and beautiful, beautiful women, like layered characters, and navigating their 20s, early 30s, because that's also the time I'm in my life, and it was just so important to see. And this show was done so well, and Issa should just be so proud of what she's done, and everybody on the show. But this show was important, and it was just, it was done so well, and it's definitely going to be one of my favorite shows forever, and it's going to be a show that I know I'm going to rewatch. And you know, because it's just like, you need to see storylines from Black people that's not just like, we're the friend, the funny friend, or the rude nurse, or the, you know, there's always like the typical characters we play, or the rude, like, I'm a businesswoman, I'm so rude, and it's just always like one dimensional. And this, all these characters were layered, and it just showed so much, and it was just so beautiful seeing black people on TV, just like with an amazing, amazingly done. If so, everybody can watch, like anybody can watch and feel connected to it, not just Black people, but obviously mostly Black people. So everything ends up perfectly with them. Molly calls Issa, and they talk for a second. Molly's in Greece enjoying her honeymoon. And then we also, so then it closes off. Issa goes and rejoins Lawrence, and she's about to go for dinner. And then what song do we hear at the very end? I'm Basse. I'm the first girl. Okay, maybe that's too much. That could be too much. But I just think that was the perfect song to just close everything off, because she is a boss. She is a boss on TV and in real life. And we're all bosses, you know? We're all bossy. And we are the freaking boss of our own lives. And just be bossy, be cute, be sweet. And yeah, that is it for me. Guys, thank you so much for watching all of these reviews. I've so much enjoyed making all of them. And so if you liked these reviews, or if you even like my personality or what I have to say, then please click and subscribe to my channel. I mostly make fashion and lifestyle videos. I would love to have you along on my journey, on this YouTube journey. And so yeah, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I would love to have you back next week. So until then, have an incredible week, and I also hope you are enjoying your Christmas season, holiday season, whatever it is, and I'll see you in the new year. Bye.